When time stands still. Have you ever met someone who made time feel like it didn't exist? Someone who, with just a touch, could turn seconds into eternity? This is the story of Lena and Adrian, a love that defied time itself. A love that whispered through the moments where the world stood still. Join me as we dive into this enchanting tale, where fate, time, and love intertwine in ways you never imagined. This is When Time Stands Still. Lena had always believed that time was the one thing no one could control. It rushed forward, stealing moments, leaving only memories in its wake. But that belief shattered the day she met Adrian. Chapter 1. The Bookstore Encounter. It was a rainy autumn afternoon when Lena sought refuge in her favorite bookstore, a quaint little shop nestled in the heart of the city. The scent of old pages and fresh coffee intermingled, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. She wandered through the aisles, her fingers trailing along the spines of books, until she found one that called to her. A classic novel bound in leather, its pages yellowed with time. She sank into a worn armchair near the window, the rain drumming a soothing rhythm against the glass. Just as she lost herself in the words, a voice interrupted her solitude. "You have great taste," the stranger said. Lena looked up, startled. A man stood before her, holding an identical copy of the book she was reading. He had deep blue eyes, the color of the ocean before a storm, and a smile that seemed to hold 1,000 stories. He was tall, with an effortless charm that made the room feel smaller. "It's a favorite of mine," she admitted. "Mine too," he said, settling into the armchair across from her. "I reread it whenever I need to remember why I fell in love with words." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, weaving through favorite books, childhood dreams, and secret aspirations. Hours passed, yet it felt like mere moments. When she finally glanced at her watch, she realized the afternoon had melted into evening. "I'm Adrian, by the way," he said, offering his hand. "Lena." When their fingers touched, something strange happened. The world outside seemed to hush. The rain paused mid-fall, frozen like crystal beads suspended in the air. The pages of books stood still, as if time itself had taken a breath. Then, as quickly as it had happened, everything resumed. Lena gasped. "Did you see that?" Adrian hesitated before nodding. "Yes." Chapter 2. A Love That Defies Time. From that day forward, Adrian became a part of her world. They spent evenings wandering the cobblestone streets, whispering secrets beneath lamplit alleyways. Time behaved strangely when they were together. Some days passed in the blink of an eye, others stretched endlessly, as if the universe conspired to grant them more time. One evening, as they lay beneath a canopy of stars in the park, Adrian traced lazy circles on her palm. "Lena, do you ever feel like time isn't as rigid as we think?" She thought of the bookstore, of moments where time seemed to stand still in his presence. "Yes, with you, it feels different." He smiled, but there was something in his eyes, something hesitant, something distant. There's a reason for that. Chapter 3. The Truth. One evening, as they stood on a quiet bridge overlooking the river, Adrian turned to her with a somber expression. "Lena, there's something I need to tell you." The wind carried his words away before she could grasp them, but the look in his eyes told her enough. He was leaving. Time, which had once stood still in his presence, now felt like it was slipping away too fast. "How long do we have?" she whispered. "Just until sunrise," he admitted. Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Why? Why does it have to end?" Adrian took a deep breath. "Because I don't belong here." He hesitated before continuing. "I am not like you, Lena. I exist between moments, in the spaces where time bends and folds. I don't know how it happened, but I can slip between seconds, exist where others can't. But I don't control it. And now, time is pulling me away." She shook her head. "There has to be a way. Lena, He cupped her face in his hands, his touch warm and real. If I could choose, I would stay. But time has already decided for me. Chapter 4. The Final Hours. They spent those final hours holding each other, capturing every glance, every touch, as if they could store them away and relive them forever. They danced in the empty streets, whispered confessions they had never dared to say. And when the first light of dawn stretched across the sky, Adrian pressed a final kiss against her forehead and whispered, "Time may move forward, but love is eternal." And then he was gone. Lena stood there, watching the sun rise, realizing that time had indeed stopped, but only in her heart, where Adrian would remain, forever frozen in that perfect moment. Epilogue. When time stands still, years passed, but Lena never forgot. She became a writer, filling pages with stories of love that transcended time. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, she could still feel him, a whisper in the wind, a shadow at the edge of her vision. One day, in the same bookstore where it all began, she reached for a familiar book. As her fingers brushed the spine, she felt a hand touch hers. She turned, her breath catching in her throat. Adrian stood before her, unchanged. "Hello, Lena." And in that instant, time stood still once more.